Hello, and welcome to our Cerenade video. In this video, we will show you our new feature, the Client Overview. With this feature, you have the ability to condense important info into a single section. This means no more having to click through tabs to locate important info. All that info can now be seen in one screen. It is a customizable feature where you dictate what info you want to see and what info stays out. Let us log into the caseworker portal. Before we customize this feature, let us go into the client profile to see where it is located and how it looks. Once inside the client profile, you will see the button that says Client Overview. If we click on it, we will be brought into the Client Overview page. More than likely, it will not show any info as we haven't customized it yet. Let's begin customizing it to our liking with the exact info we want. We will first show you how to customize it specific to your user profile, meaning only you can see this client overview you've created. However, we will show you later how you can customize this in the admin portal so that all users can have the same client overview. To access the user preferences, click on the settings icon on the top right and proceed to click on User Preferences. From the user's preference, go to the Client Overview button on the tabs to the right. You are now at the area to customize the client overview. You will first select if you want this for individual client profiles or business client profiles. You will then click on the plus sign. A pop-up will appear asking you to select a category. If you click the drop-down list, it will show every section that is included in the client's profile, as well as an option to leave an empty block and your logo. It is now up to you to decide what sections you want to see in the client overview. For this example, I will use the section titled General Info, meaning info that is located in the General Info section of the client profile. By default, it will list and check every category that you have on the General Info section. I will uncheck the ones I don't need. Also by default, these categories are aligned side by side with other categories once created, reducing the length of the client overview. If you do not wish for this, you will click on the checkbox to expand to the entire row. Once I have the desired fields, decide to expand the row or not, I will then click on Apply. To finalize the changes of adding a category, I will click on Save All. Once applied and saved, if I go back to the Client Overview button, I will see the exact client info I just applied in the user preferences. If I want to add more, I will follow the same steps, going into the user preferences, adding the category, checking and unchecking fields, deciding whether to expand the section or keep it side by side with another category, clicking Apply, and then clicking Save All once I've added all my categories. The client overview will now have the exact info I need, not having to go through tabs on the right to locate specific info. All categories and specific sections I selected within the category will be listed here. As we see here, some sections cover the entire row because we selected that option in the user preferences. If I didn't select to make it an entire row, it will align side by side with other areas. If I do not wish to see the areas that I have added here, each section has a button to collapse the section, so you don't see the info, as well as expand it to bring back that info onto the screen. This client overview is also printable. When clicking Print, it will first ask you if you want all columns listed in a single column. If unchecking this option, it will print as you see it here. For optimal results, we recommend changing the orientation to landscape. We also recommend going into your advanced printing settings and be sure the background graphics is checked. Once you make these selections, you will proceed to print the client overview. Also, something to note here is if you collapse areas like we previously saw, those sections will not be included in the printed version. If you ever need to remove a section entirely, meaning you no longer want to see it in the client overview, you will go into the Client Overview section of the User Preferences, you will locate the category you wish to delete and click on it. You will select the red Delete button, and lastly, you will select Save All. Besides adding info in the Client Overview, we briefly saw two things you can add, an empty block and your logo. The empty block is just as it sounds. It leaves an empty block on the page to allow things to be more spread out. This will come in handy when you want smaller sections in the client overview, but not side by side with anything. As for the logo, if you have one uploaded, you can choose to include it in your client overview. You can even dictate if you want it to be aligned to the left, to the center, or the right. When adding an empty block or a logo, the same rules applies as adding other categories. You will select it, click Apply once done modifying it, and then click Save All. If you currently don't have a logo, that is something that is added in the admin portal, specifically the branding section in the application settings. You will need an image file that is 300 by 70 in GIF format. Once added there, then it will show on the client overview. Please note, you must have access to the admin portal to add your logo. The last thing to show you is having a default client overview for new caseworkers you create. This is also done in the admin tools. From inside the admin tools, let us go into the application settings. Once in the application settings, click on the client overview tab. You will now see an identical screen to what we saw in the caseworker portal. Once adding client overview sections here, anytime you create a new caseworker profile, these selections will appear on their client overview. You have now designed your client overview. As you can see, this client overview will be very useful in terms of gathering exact info you seek, as well as giving you the ability to create a printer-friendly document for yourself or your clients. This concludes our video on the client overview.